Hi everyone, this is Koji from Celestial Rhythms. How intense it is right now. It's really hard to believe that anybody's still asleep. Anyway, much has been happening and much of what I predicted pretty much happened to the day again. I will just have a quick review here first before we head into new territory. So anyway, short, I want to mention total lunar eclipse, May 26th, just around the corner in 3 days. This is a major eclipse. Powerful energies will be released. More on that in a minute. Right now the sun is flaring like crazy. This was yesterday, the 22nd, as I'm recording this. Sunspot AR2824 is here, the only sunspot on the sun's surface, and it's turning out into full Earth direction within the next few days, 4 to 5 days. It will be totally Earth directed if there's any flaring happening. Anyway, but there has been some substantial flaring going on already, and I show you here in this picture here. That is the diagram of the flares of yesterday, May 22nd. So it started late in May 21st. This is universal time, and it's still going. This is the latest as I'm recording this, and this is all that one sunspot. So space weather here says this unleashed a sequence of solar flares, anything unlike anything we've seen in years. Within only 24 hours, 10 C flares, 2 M-class flares, and this is the energy building up towards the lunar eclipse. You say things are not in synchronicity out there. Amazing. Always when big celestial events happen, the sun is totally in resonance with that, showing similar patterns. So yesterday night there was such a strong radio burst that even the recording, well, what I want to say, that so Thomas Ashcroft, who recorded the noisy signal of the thunderstorm using a radio telescope in rural Mexico, he says it's drowned out the lightning static from the severe local thunderstorm. Just a couple days ago, someone asked me what are the impacts of solar flares when they go off. It's a intense radiation which is hitting our planet, our atmosphere, and the whole magnetic energetic field of the Earth starts vibrating and resonating, and as we are all connected in that same field, all our personal electromagnetic fields are affected and start shaking and rattling. So that's what we feel in a bigger way. So let's go back to what I said in 20 days ago. Actually, I wrote that the switch is about to be thrown, and that message I gave out, as I say, in the 3rd of May, and I said it would center around the 13th of May. This was this prediction is based on the American chart of July the 4th, 1776. And this was the most perfect midpoint opposition, midpoint between the original chart, 1776, and the present transiting motion. So the midpoints move at half the speed, and centering on May 13 was that exact Saturn-Pluto opposition, exactly in the Earth, in the American nations ascendant descendant axis. This was very clear that this was a breaking point. If something would get enacted and switched on, as I say, around that time, it would have major implications in the long run. So what happened on the 12th? That letter, which was appearing on Donald Trump's own website a day after, and which naturally all the mainstream media were totally ignoring. That is the Senate President from Arizona Senate, Karen Fann, and she writes this letter pretty much stating that yes, these recounts have brought to light huge fraud. That's basically it. It's an 11-page letter document with all kinds of exact exhibits. So there's pretty much, this is the affidavit you could use in court that yes, this is a valid case. This has to be looked into deeper, and this is really where the avalanche in a bigger way was kicked off. We have to understand, I mean, I was wrong on many points in my predictions because I didn't fully understand the plan either. I mean, nobody really does. We are all kind of hoping that things would evolve faster than they do. However, in retrospect, it can be seen clearly why it didn't happen so fast. And for that, I will go to the American nations progress chart, which I have here. And that is the secondary progressions as per today. These move very slowly. The sun in the progressive chart moves 1 degree by year. You see that's 244 years roughly after foundation, after the nation was born. And so in this time, the sun, which in the nation's birth chart is, as we see here, let me just go back to it. I'll just quickly demonstrate this so you understand that chart. On July 4th, the sun is in the 14th degree of Cancer, and in the progressions, every day after birth counts for 1 year. So this is 244 days roughly later is when the configuration looks like this. And I guess this is pretty obvious here that Uranus here in midheaven, the United States as a nation goes through a huge upgrade in resonance with Uranus, with the moon by progression now in Uranus sign since pretty much since the elections. I showed that in another video how this amazing synchronicity happened around that time, the end of October, early November, this energy shift there. And then now if we look into the I Ching hexagrams, which are overlaying the zodiac, and I just want to show you quickly where that comes from for those of you who are new to this concept. Okay, that's the page. That's from my own old website. It's not updated in years. I have no access to it, so it's still a good resource page for what I published more than 10 years ago. So this is the overlay of the 64 hexagrams over the zodiac. That is information which was given through the human design system by Ra Uru, who was the channel at that time in 1987. So this is powerful information, and I'm working with this for 25 years. I really strongly recommend anyone in the astrological field out there. It's, as I say, I have all the numbers, all the points where these these different hexagrams start here on my website. Again, this is thecosmoswithin.org. So if we are looking at Aquarius now, so the progress moon is kind of the biggest, the largest kind of focus point in any progression, because it's the one which moves fastest and which shows the changing moods and changing tides. So the change into Aquarius was really interesting, coinciding pretty much with the November 3 elections. And 2 months later, the energy shifted into hexagram 41, which is decrease, a very, very interesting oracle. As its main message, I could translate it as that the higher principle submits itself below, gives leeway, or however you say that, to the lower principle, stands back for a while, is in a position of allowing, of defeat, even of giving in, apparently stepping to the back. It's in perfect synchronicity with which we saw manifesting over the last few months. And this energy has shifted just as of May the 16th. This is a big shift, and it will take a little while for it to get fully activated. Everything moves organic. Nothing comes totally sudden. There's a few raindrops first, and maybe another little break, and the sun comes through, another few raindrops. That's kind of how it works in nature. So anyway, May 13 was kind of at that very late stage in this process that Arizona Senate President sending that letter out with a clear assessment. Yes, voter fraud is not a myth. It's true. It's sadly but true. And it has to be definitely looked deeper into in other states. And meanwhile, as you probably know, in quite a few other states already, they started the recounting process too. So it's everything just takes a little longer. So hexagram 19 is following, I'm pretty sure. Let me just see. Just opening it quickly here for you. I didn't get that ready in time. Takes just a minute or less. I want to show you, because this is exciting stuff. So here we have approach. That's the name of hexagram 19. And hexagram 19, I mentioned it already in an earlier video, but it's really powerful stuff, that progression of the moon activating the different oracles. So approach is a sign of spring, of return of the powerful energies. They rise up from the ground, those two yang lines breaking through the ground. So the Chinese word Lin, which is the name of this hexagram of this oracle, has a range of meanings that is not exhausted by any single word of another language. The ancient explanations in the Book of Changes give as its first meaning becoming great. How about that? Make America great again. I guess this is really the moment we have been waiting through, the big breakthrough. The next 6 months will be under this energy. That's how long the moon is approximately in one hexagram. So anyway, it's about that greatness to finally hitting the ground, becoming fully exposed. It sure won't happen in a minute. It's a process. and it goes through stages, and we are just now at the cusp of a new chapter, also as seen in the Mayan calendar. Just want to show you this one too quickly. This is the Mayan calendar, and I mentioned it in earlier YouTubes that we are in an amazing synchronicity with this galactic calendar, this galactic frequency. We are tuning into much more and ever more as we are becoming galactic citizens, really. That is kind of that transition we are in. So the solar eclipses and lunar eclipses, all eclipses, but most of all total solar eclipses, are powerful markers in time. They're kind of the starting point of a new creation cycle, you could say. So the last total solar eclipse occurred on December 14, 2020, on December 15, 2020. That's the amazing synchronization I'm speaking of. We started a new 260-day round. And you read this diagram vertical down. This are the first 20 days in this cycle, and so on. Then you continue up here. So we are just coming out of this center phase here. This was between May the let me get that right. It was late April till late, till sometime in May. I forget all these dates, happen so fast. Let me look it up, then we are very exact. So May 3rd was the last one. That's why I got that date in mind. So it was between April April 14 to May 3rd. That was the central column here. And since we've moved on, we've just come out of these 12 or 10 portal days, galactic activation portals. The last one was the 18th of May, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. That's where we are today, and this is another really powerful day. Also 555 today, May 23rd, 2021. If you reduce each of the three numbers, it gives you a 5. Very fast moving energy. And the 4 are how the self-existing solar lord. This is a day of rest, of reforming, of restructuring the momentum, and we are in a strong momentum in this Kaban cycle we just ended. That is the yellow southern castle which was initiated. We were coming out of the blue central the blue western castle, sorry, I said that wrong, the blue western castle, which started here on this day. So each castle is 4 times 13 days, 52 days in total. So the 52-day period we just were in prior started March 29, and these were the 52 days of transformation lasting into the 19th of May. Very intense period that was. Anyone who has a little perspective and can see how many things fell in place. Just at whatever I mentioned with the recount and in the Maricopa County and the senator of Arizona, which happened on the 13th, 12th, the letter was published. Let me just zoom that in so you know that was on this day here. So here in this middle of this 10-day portal energy. I expected something really big to shift in that time, and it sure did. Something very fundamental, which won't be absolutely clearly visible, particularly because we have such a terrible news media here in this on this planet, I should say. So anyway, we entered the yellow southern castle. That is number 4 out of 5. The 52 days prior were transformative. Now the next coming, or where we are right now in day 4, this is about expansion. The expansion of light. Before it was the transformation of light, now it's the expansion of light. This is the flowering period. This is when everything comes out into the open, which was kind of conceived, born around the time when this cycle started, which was, as we said, December the 15th. That was just a few days prior to the big Jupiter-Saturn conjunction on the 21st, which happened actually here on the 6th day of this cycle. And it was within that time when we were really starting to get to the bottom of all that fraud, when first serious attempts were made. Actually, that first big press conference was held in Gettysburg on the 25th of November, if I'm not mistaken. And that was in itself a powerful chart, as it totally resembled the eclipse chart. So they were in sync already. That's how synchronicities happen, how we choose the right moments to do the right things, to be in sync. It's those 11 moments, if you want. So let me just now go to astrology, I guess, and let's go to what's happening right now. Today, Saturn stationed. Today is a very strong Saturn energy prevalent, which means it's a day of grounding, which kind of is contradictory to that 555 energy. So this is very special. And I just want to say, this is the Greenwich chart here, and what stands out here is Hygeia here, exactly at the ascendant, and the moon here down here close to the 4th house cusp. Applying to an opposition with Eris in this T-square here, also with Hilonome and Arrokoth, most exactly, actually. So the long story short, the moon here in Libra, a very powerful moon. Clarity is the segment, the hexagram, the oracle, which rules that area between 15 degrees and 21 roughly. This is hexagram 57, wind below, wind above, clarity, when things fall in place, when the very subtle energies are winning over, starting to win over. Very gentle, it's a very gentle force, but very focused and persistent with that Eris up here, Eris the shaker, shaking things into position. And then naturally we have here Hygeia, which is about health, well-being, and being at the right place in the right time. Very important. I found that meaning. It makes total sense for Hygeia. When Hygeia is strong, these things are amplified. And Saturn at the 7th house cusp here. Okay, get real, folks. This is the time of giving Saturn exposure, giving Saturn that exposure in the social field, in the 7th house. Saturn in 7 can mean divorce or separation, and in a way that's what we will see. There will be that divorce from the bad forces. Look at that degree, 1331. That's where Saturn turned today. And if we go back to the American chart, this is Saturn is here, 1313. Look, this is a perfect sextile to the ascendant and a yod with the sun at its apex. Very powerful, really empowers the sun, and it kind of gives this sun, which represents the being in a way of the American nation, the most basic identity, if you want, the sun, always, because the sun is really the source of life. So in all our charts, the sun is really holding the most important information in a way. It's the essence in a way. So the essence here of the American nation is standing not just on this odd 150-degree angle here this time with reality, but has a reinforcement, a strong second leg. That's what Saturn here in this position gives the nation, to stand strong, to face harsh winds, and to focus, to get to this apex point, the sun here in hexagram 39 after all, which is what's the word there? Let me look it up. I'm sometimes forgetting these key words, but it's pretty simple as they are all here on this screen. So that is hexagram 39. That is obstruction, right? Obstruction, which is a really interesting one. Obstruction is when, I mean, it's obvious. The word obstruction pretty much says it. There's lots of hindrances which are thrown in the way, and in retrospect, when these things happen, they make us stronger, more intelligent, more refined. With each time we are faced a new challenge, we grow, and that's kind of the challenge this nation has taken on. And again, when I speak of the American nations chart, I mean, I have kind of spoken about that before. It's more than that. It's really a birth of the American nation was a global event. It's started the next age in a way, because it's that idea, declaration of independence, all these very high principles which were at the base of this new society, this new country. It really was the hope, and still is, of the whole planet, and we are just about getting there, to get out of, I would call it, puberty. That's, I mean, for a nation, 244 years is nothing. I mean, any of the big empires, if we look at old empires, they lasted for thousands of years, 200 years. It's just really coming out of puberty. That's what is happening right now, getting into that clear space. So anyway, this is a powerful turning point too. So there's several turning points here coming together. That's Saturn station. Now, if you look at that same chart here from the Washington perspective, interesting, the Aquarian energy here on top of the chart, with Saturn very prominently in house 10, and actually 2 house cusps in Aquarius. Okay, this is definitely showing that we will see some huge changes in government, in the structure of societies, how it's ruled, how it's taken care of. This is and hexagram 13 is the area where Saturn is in which just started at 1315 hexagram. 13 is community with people. A beautiful hexagram. Let me quickly show you, as it's not too far away here. Fellowship with man, community of people. It's the fire, the three lines which are forming the fire trigram, fire under the open sky. It is the image here is of sitting around a campfire and having lots of fun. So this is a very social energy we are having here. So what made me really go to this chart is mostly the midpoint chart again, which always kind of reveals how these transits manifest in a bigger way. And you see the midpoint Uranus here between the American nations chart and that moment when Saturn turned retrograde stations, which just happened not even 12 hours ago as I record this. Uranus right at midheaven. Seems to be we are getting to the core phase of what we see here in this secondary progressed chart. Interesting. So I mean, this moves, as I said, a slow pace. So this is another 1.5 to 2 years before the progress midheaven is exactly lining up with Uranus. So expect, this is just a start. This is just the beginning of a very, very big reformation, restructuring of the nation from ground up. And we are just at the critical point now in these coming months, which I predicted all along. I mean, I didn't do it all by myself. I had all these wonderful insights too from Magenta Pixie, mostly the 9, which have given a very clear and exact timeline. They said by the end of May 2021, and that information was given early May 2020, pretty much 13 months ago. That's when they said by this time around, by the end of May 2021, we would have won, period. The rest would be just cleaning up and getting things right. But it's true. It's happening. The big breakthroughs have taken place. It will be taking a little while for everything to sink into everyone's mind. And it's not pushed. We are very gentle. That's, I guess, one of the expressions of hexagram 41, that early degrees in Aquarius, where the progressed moon just was for the last 6 months or so. And if we look at where the moon is now by progression, the cutoff line is 7 degrees 37 and 30 seconds. So the moon, as I said, entered this new segment May 16. The approach, greatness, as we said, and before, was that other energy dominant, which is hexagram 41, decrease, that position of intentionally lowering one's voice to let something play out of a lower frequency, just to be kind, to be gentle, to allow nature space, and that phase has come to an end. Interesting also Pholus, I talked about that before. Pholus, that big quantum leap the nation as a soul is taking, emerging itself, opening the windows to really something totally new, having the courage. That's one of the big things about Pholus. It brings us to that moment where we truly have the courage to take that big leap happening. So you see the moon by progression, yes, is lining up with progressed Pholus. the moon right now 753, and if we look at the natal chart for a minute, it's 658. So by touching on the natal moon, that already happened about a month ago. I mentioned that, I did even on YouTube on that. Interesting also that the south node is here, so Pholus is really a powerful ingredient in the American nation's psyche. Pholus, as I say, gives that ability to make the big move, to just shift energies after having been waiting, getting ready for a long time. It's that moment when you finally cut off your nicotine, when you stop drinking, when you make that decision, and when it's manifesting. So this is the midpoint chart again, Saturn stationary today with the American nations chart. That's initiating that phase we are just entering now, that next 5 months from a Saturnian point of view. And yeah, overall all this big stellium up here in house 10, house 11, yeah, a clear restructuring of society with Venus and Ceres here, very Venus and Juno, sorry, all in Sagittarius, all these planets. It's Sagittarius is the aim for freedom, for higher truth, for revolution, for shift, for change, all that coming together. Also, this area here in the zodiac, that's hexagram 34, that is power of the great. That's one of the strongest segments, can be overwhelming at times, the energy of this early Sag period. And on the other hand is here hexagram 20, and that leads me into the lunar eclipse, which occurs, and let me just get there. Actually, okay, there's one more thing I wanted to quickly throw in, which spices up what's happening right now. There's this Kuiper belt object named Chaos, which has been aligning with the galactic center, that is here. Actually, it's been in opposition to it, as you see it here, 2709. So 2709 Sagittarius, that's where the galactic center is at present. Chaos is a slow-moving body, takes around 300 years or so to once circle the zodiac. Has been at this degree exactly opposing the galactic center already 2 times last year. So that was exact on July the 16th, 2020, first time, and the second time on December the 15th, 2020. How about that? Remember what we said about December 15? That was the first day of the after the eclipse, after the big solar eclipse of December 14, that new starting point of the 260-day count. And now, just hours before, or a couple days before, on the 25th, actually one day before the lunar eclipse upcoming, there's this third exact hit activation of that energy Chaos brings in. Now, chaos is an interesting word as such, as it has been given a whole wrong meaning by our modern civilization. One of these things, symbols which has been twisted upside down. Chaos is far from a disorder. If you go back to the original Greek word chaos, chaos is the original order, the primordial order. It is how things were before they got all mixed up and inverted. Interesting thought I give you here. So, the year 2020, I guess, gives us that idea. Yes, there was chaos, but the chaos is agent of a higher order. The higher order is kind of like you're disrupting something which is not in balance, and then you're allowing it to come to a new balance naturally from inside out without imposing any outer force on it. So chaos has that power of regeneration. I guess that's one of the best words to use for it. So it so happens that also Mercury is here, Aspolus. Aspolus is an interesting centaur, has a wonderfully proportioned orbit. I guess that's the best way to say it, because it's pretty much shows the proportions of the golden means. So there's an underlying order which comes into play with Aspolus, although Aspolus is quite a dark energy too, deals with hidden secrets and mysteries. It's kind of, Aspolus shows up when you're a detective. I guess Sherlock Holmes' chart would have a really strong Aspolus, wanting to, being pulled by dark subjects, wanting to bring enlightenment. Very interesting. Mercury here in this position with Venus here too. So Mercury will turn retrograde just within a few days. So Mercury is also getting stronger here, as when planets move slower they have a greater impact. That's a general rule we have in astrology. So when a planet stations like Saturn today, then yes, then Saturn will leave a larger imprint. This is a day of grounding, as I said, despite the 555, which is an amazing combination. Anyway, this is the Greenwich chart for that moment when chaos will be exactly at the galactic center. This is the chart for Washington, D.C. Interesting again, the moon here in Scorpio, and that's true for everywhere. The moon at this degree in Scorpio conjunct Deucalion, which I talked repeatedly about. Deucalion, another name for this, for Noah, you could call him. Noah, the one who built the ark, who had kind of that foreknowledge, was given that information how to prepare for the future. So this is an interesting part too, that while we are reshuffling and finding a new order, tearing down old structures, there is this innate knowing of how to prepare what to do at next, and the nice resonance here with that ascendant descendant horizon axis with Pherois here. Pherois, one of the strong players of our present time, I mentioned several times too. Pherois is the mother bear's energy, the fierceness to protect her cubs. It's the power of love to stand there and protect the weaker ones, the ones who need protection. And that is definitely brought to life at our present times in multiple ways. Pherois, I should mention, finishes its 3-year stay in this sign of Leo. It started in 2017, shortly after President Trump had been elected. It stands for the awakening, the reawakening of the spirit of the nation, the rekindling of that urge for sovereignty and freedom and radiance. And as you probably know, President Trump's Leo rising definitely helped that. He's a beautiful example of that boldness and the power to shine and to stand in the limelight and to hold that power in place. Also, the black moon here opposing, interesting, and that is where the moon is farthest away from Earth. So here the moon is closest to Earth. So that's what we then get into as the supermoon, and let's just jump into that as we speak. And actually, let me do this first. That is then the supermoon of the 26th. And again, I just had this little chart here in between. That is when the moon is exactly closest to Earth. Actually, I said it wrong here. It should say perigee. I sometimes get these things wrong. Perigee is the closest moment the moon has with Earth on its monthly base. So it will be a huge full moon. It will be really a spectacle. And so this is when the moon then will be, let me go first to this chart here. This is again the Greenwich chart when the moon will be at its maximum eclipse, when it will be exactly at the center of Earth's shadow. And I would say this eclipse only is visible in the western part of Americas, the Americas, and then in Asia, naturally, in the Pacific area. So here in Greenwich, you see it's deeply under the Earth. It's midday when this eclipse is exact. Nevertheless, Greenwich is the 0 meridian. That's why we always do the charts for Greenwich, because it shows the global impact. If you really go reduce Earth to a single point, that's where we would want to pick up the energies. That's where the umbilical cord, which connects us with the cosmos, is kind of connected, as I explained in other articles and whatnot. So what is interesting here is the black moon at the midheaven together with Setna. In a way, this indicates that the big crisis for the public is just about getting real. All these people who have been misinformed, who are totally sleeping in that sense, have fallen prey to a wrong narrative, which was so... I mean, these mind program techniques have become so refined, so extremely refined, so we cannot really blame anyone for falling for it. We have been falling for it too at some point earlier in our lives. So I guess that's where really this gentleness comes from, which we are holding, we the people who are knowing what is truly going on. We are ready to wait and hang in there for a little longer. Yes, we are also desperate for change, and it will come. So the sun is exactly at midday, exactly T-squaring here the horizon axis in Greenwich, and the moon at the lowest point. So this makes a perfect grand square. This shows it by itself that this eclipse, this lunar eclipse, has a very strong impact on us globally. It will be a turning point, no question, on many levels. Now, I said earlier that this segment here, early Gemini and early Sagittarius, and I'll show you why they're so powerful. This is based on the human design, and this is what the planets' positions in the hexagrams are. Here you see the breakdown to zodiac signs and degrees, and this is the hexagram and the line. Each hexagram has 6 different segments from down to up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then comes the next hexagram, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the final line of hexagram 20. Hexagram 20, that is where the sun is in, and hexagram 34, that's where the moon is in. So that's one of these pairs of opposing hexagrams which are forming one channel, and this is a very powerful channel. That is the channel which connects the sacral with the throat, which turns this whole collective circuit into a manifesting circuit. Whenever one of these lower chakras, which are also called motors, when one of them is connected with the throat, then we are able to full on manifest what we are holding in store. It gives that power. So this lunar eclipse, this full moon, this powerful super full moon, in activating that channel of which is called charisma, channel 34 with 20. You see here, I can't move my cursor there, otherwise it appears. It says charisma. Charisma is a force which just comes through you. You don't know why and how. It's almost like an energy flowing through us, which allows us to bring down that powerful sacral energy of creation. The sacral again is the hara, the navel center, where we are most strongly connected to the physical reality. So this is a collective moment. I mean, we are in this 5-day window where this this channel is activated since pretty much the sun's ingress into Gemini, which is about 4 days ago by now. So we are in this window already, but the culmination will be this eclipse with the moon exactly opposing the sun. Actually, to be exact, let me say this much: the central eclipse happens a little bit after the exact full moon. That happens because of the mutual geometry, and that's the picture here NASA put out to go here quickly. This is right, okay, you see it. That's kind of the moon traveling through the shadow of Earth. This is the central shadow here of Earth. You can imagine the sun is here just away from us seen, so that this Earth is here in between. So the moon just slides here through the edge of the Earth's shadow. That's why the totality only lasts for something like 15 minutes. This is a universal time here, Greenwich time. You can look it up. As I say, here in Western Canada and US, it is Pacific for 4:20 a.m. when central eclipse happens, and according in mountain time it would be 5:20, and that's about it. Further east, it's already daylight. You can't see it anymore. So this is another good page here by NASA. You can Google all that. That's easy to find, which gives you the exact times, breaks it even down to the minute, the astronomical information. So this is the chart for Greenwich again, and this is the same chart heliocentrically. I just liked that very much with that heliocentric Pallas and AW197. 2002 AW197 in the exact axis here, aside from many other powerful alignments in this chart. This one I want to quickly mention. Pallas is the ability, the mental ability to see patterns. Pallas also rules justice. She is often depicted with a blindfold and a sword and scales. Pallas rules art and science. Pallas is one of the 4 major asteroids. Whenever Pallas shows up, there is some mental breakthroughs. We are able to put dots together, if you want. So this is the heliocentric energy behind manifestation, and AW197, that's a particularly interesting one. That's as it says, it was discovered in 2002 as a Kuiper Belt object of substantial size and is still not being named. So it's kind of an hiding, not wanting to fully be seen. Stealth. That's a very good word the art of the stratagem, as one astrologer put it. Very nicely. Powerful point. It is basically allowing something to happen and then using that momentum to twist it around to turn it into a totally different direction. It is not surprising that President Trump has this, Kuiper Belt object very prominently in his chart, aligned with his sun. He's kind of a master of that art, as we all know. No surprise here. So this is the heliocentric chart. Now if we go to the moment as it shows in Washington DC, when the eclipse is most exact, center, 27 degrees 50 Gemini rising, 2750 Sagittarius at the descendant, the galactic center. Those of you who have followed my podcasts, whenever that degree is activated, then something big happens. It's natural. It's kind of, we are pulling in that higher dimensional frequency from the galaxy, from the bigger collective of the universe, which is helping us in all levels right now. Not really showing themselves yet, because they are not really, we are not really ready for that. But I mean, we get so much help. There's so many signs of that on many levels. Yes, you have to dig a little bit for it, but it's there. So that is amplified, highly amplified, that connection with the galactic frequencies. And chaos. We just talked about chaos here at the ascendant, again bringing in original order. Many more things could be said here. I will keep it at that. There's other astrologers who cover other aspects of this chart very well. I just want to say that only hours later, that would be if we go by the same time zone in Washington DC, it's 7:20 in the morning on the 26th, next Wednesday, when that eclipse will be most exact. Again, naturally it's under the Earth already. The moon has set by then already. There's the sun has come up, but 7:20, keep that in mind. So a few hours later, by 3:15 p.m., the sun moves on into the next segment of the zodiac, into hexagram 16. where it will be for 6 days. 16 is excitement. 16 is celebration in a way. It's that let me see what the original word is here for hexagram 16. As I say, it's my mind has holes sometimes. Enthusiasm, right, here it is, enthusiasm. It's kind of that spirit of spring is kicking in. Oh, it's exciting. Butterflies flying around, flowers are opening, beautiful energies coming out. So I'm expecting nothing of a dark nature really to form around the May 26 lunar eclipse. I think it is a very uplifting shift we are experiencing. It will be maybe devastating for some people who have been believing lies, as it seems really we are now at a place where this is all being poured into the public arena. It's about time. It's about time, I guess. And this chart shows the moon exactly at the south node, so it could well be that this is really the period, then the next 6 to 12 days, where things will be shaken up. Also, again, to make the circle complete, remember the sun has become just really active. Just showing you once more here that latest diagram of of solar activity. This is everything above this line are huge solar flares in the M class, and it's possible even that we get some spike up to here in the next few days. We will see how this sunspot is developing, as you see it here. So it depends how right now it says it poses a threat for strong M-class flares depending on the magnetic field that has been measured. We will see. It's exciting times we're in, and once again you know we are getting into better times. It is important to hold the ground, to not get that silly V. I don't want to say the word, but you know what I mean. It's not necessary. It will all be good in a few months. This all will fall away. That's all just show. And I'm very sad for the people who fall for it at this time. So help, enlighten people, inform, do what is necessary to get to a better world. The faster the better. Okay, thanks again for joining, for listening, and if you like that, then please consider giving it a like, subscribe, or even share. Thank you. You have a lovely rest of May, and talk to you soon again, hopefully within a week or two. I'm extremely busy right now, I'm traveling, so it won't be that often that I will do these updates. So again, have a lovely day. Take care.